What's going on, everyone? Welcome back to the PLL weekly recap. My name is Thiefstrings, and today we are going over week 9, game 1, Waterdogs Whipsnakes. I cannot believe we are already 9 weeks into this PLL season. This week, the PLL makes their return to historic Homewood Field in Baltimore, Maryland, which at this point has basically become the religious temple of lacrosse. This game is basically a playoff game as we are wrapping up the end of the regular season and heading into the playoffs, especially for the Waterdogs. They somehow are only 1-6 despite having one of the better rosters on paper in the league and playing really well this season. They've had quite a few games where they've lost by just 1 goal, but that's the difference in this league. Super small margins. They absolutely need a win today to keep their playoff hopes alive. Of course, being that this is a conference matchup makes it even more of an important deal. This is technically the Whipsnakes' first home game at their home arena, but every single time that the Whipsnakes come to Maryland, they're basically the home team anyway. They have so many guys from the University of Maryland on their roster, so it's kind of always felt like that. Now it just has the official title of being their home game. I'm sure a lot of the Maryland players from Maryland will be fired up for this one, especially Matt Rambo, who's making his return back to the lineup after being out for a few weeks. On the Waterdog side of things, Dillon Ward is still on the bench. He got sat 2 weeks ago, and he was playing pretty good. He wasn't playing that bad, but he did have a couple of unfortunate mistakes. He could have been playing a little better, so unfortunate to see a great goalie like Dillon Ward get benched, but there's only 8 goalies in the league. You have to be performing at a top 8 level in the world to be a starting goalie, and unfortunately for Dillon Ward, just a couple weeks of not perfect play is enough to get you on the bench. Sad to see, but I understand. And that's pretty much it for the pregame notes. Nothing super interesting going on coming into this game besides those couple things, so let's get right into the action. All right, so this one started off pretty slow, honestly. Only 2 defensive highlights in the entire first half of the first quarter. TJ Malone was on the unfortunate end of this one both times. The Waterdogs played some great defense on him. I wonder if they had a specific read on him or instructions from the coach, because TJ Malone on both these instances gets stripped when he's driving up left from X. I don't really think either of these are really TJ Malone's fault. To me, this is just great defense from the Waterdogs long poles. Maybe they had a special scout on him and knew he might have some sort of weakness when he's driving up left from X. Either way, great defense from them. Not blaming TJ Malone, but great defense from the Waterdogs. On this second one, they actually are able to get some transition with their long poles here, driving all the way up the field, but Brennan Krebs stands incredibly tall in net. That's a really tough save when a long pole shoots it high to low, but he was standing on his head this entire game. You'll see more of him later. And like I said, super slow start to this game. The first goal didn't even come until the 5-minute mark. Maryland had a lot more possession, but they didn't do much with it. The couple times the Waterdogs did get the ball, they got some shots on net, but none of them were able to go. These teams are probably feeling the heat. It was super hot yesterday up and down the East Coast, and the Whipsnakes are wearing all black today. That's got to be brutal on the turf. Finally, Matt Rambo opens up the scoring with a vintage play from him. He hits this move all the time. It's not even really a move. He just drives up lefty from X, puts his shoulder down, and shoots through the defender. He doesn't need to finish his follow through on these. I never understand how these go for him, because he's got so much contact. He can't even finish his shot motion, but he still pins it top corner. It's got to be one of the most unstoppable moves in lacrosse. And the crazy part is it's just so simple. And nothing came of this play here for the Waterdogs, but it was a fun one, so I do want to show you guys. A lot of slick moves right in this little sequence here. Zach Currier, one-handed cradle, lever pass back to the other midi. He can't handle it. Goose pass to his teammate. They get it back to Zach Currier. Behind the back pass. Load a high shot from Walker. Doesn't go. He kind of sells the clip a little bit there. Nothing came of it, but it was fun. A lot of style on that one. Then towards the end of the quarter, Matt Rambo shows his versatility. He scored that last goal driving up from X. This time he drives up again lefty, but he hits you with the inside roll instead of driving up the field. He can hurt you a number of different ways operating at 5-5, and he talks about that later when they go under the helmet with him too. The Waterdogs end up going scoreless in that first quarter, putting up 0 goals, and Brennan Krebs, the Maryland goalkeeper, had a lot to do with that. He was playing amazing this whole game. Big body Zed Williams starts us off in the second quarter with what was pretty much an absolutely free goal for him, wide open in front of the crease. Good ride by the Whipsnakes. The Waterdogs could not clear that one, and from right in front of the net, that's pretty much automatic for Zed. Despite the crappy camera angle that the PLL gave us, it was a nice finish. So in the first quarter, Matt Rambo scored back-to-back, and now his fellow attackman Zed Williams scores 2 back-to-back goals. And once again, they're both trying to show off their versatility with 2 different style of goals, each of them. Last one was a right on the doorstep freezing finish for Zed. This time he's driving up righty for X, almost an exact mirror of Rambo's first goal, and Zed gets barely above GLE, almost no angle, no space, really impressive. He is able to finish his follow through unlike Rambo, but still, with that angle and a guy pretty much right on you, very, very impressive from Zed. Very quick release too. I didn't expect that shot to come. The goalie didn't expect it. Waterdogs D obviously didn't expect it. It's crazy how the Whipsnakes have 2 MVPs on their attack line. That isn't talked about enough. Levi Anderson then gets a goal of his own too. He hits a really, really nasty shake and bake into a swim dodge. Then a little bit of a leaner Jeff T-esque head fake where he's faking everything low and just sticks it high. They got this guy for penny on the dollars and that trade from the Redwoods, and I'm sure the Whipsnakes are super, super happy that he is on their team. For a big guy, this guy's pretty shifty. I really like Levi Anderson's game. Super clean dodge, super clean finish. The Whipsnakes fans are loving it, and I also love this little like toy snake that they keep passing around the entire crowd. That was pretty fun. That was really cool to see. So you might have noticed I am showing like almost no Waterdogs highlights, and that's not because I'm being biased against them or something. The score heading into halftime is 9-0. There were no Waterdogs highlights besides those defensive plays I showed you in the beginning. For a team who's basically playing for their playoff lives in this game, I am super surprised they didn't have more to offer. These next 2 quarters are completely do or die for them. The Waterdogs apparently are 0 for 41 on all of their last shots, which is crazy. Michael Sowers is playing especially bad for the Waterdogs. He's completely ghosting. He looks like he doesn't even want to be there. He's not initiating too many dodges. Maybe he finally realized how badly he gets beat up every game and he's just over it. On the Whipsnake side of things, Colin Heacock is playing really well, which is really cool to see. He was one of my favorite players when he was in college. They also had the Hall of Fame ceremony at halftime, and oh my god, they had these guys in full suits, buttoned down, tucked in suit jackets on the 100-degree turf. Whew. Not the best way to treat your Hall of Famers, but I guess there's nothing you can do about it. It was a predetermined date. Let's get right into the second half and see if the Waterdogs have anything they can offer us today. One of the first plays of the second half, the Waterdogs get a shot off. It rebounds off Krebs' chest, and he decks another guy. He's got like 3 of these in the last 3 weeks where he's out of his cage, out of the crease, and he lays an attackman out. How could you not absolutely love seeing a goalie getting super physical and laying the body? Like I said a minute ago, Colin Heacock is playing really well this game. He gets another goal right here. He scores on the run. This guy is definitely feeling it. Real happy to be home in Maryland, playing in his hometown with many of his former teammates in front of his family. This guy is a great role model for all young lacrosse players to look up to. He loves playing the game. He's a true stallion. Started as an attackman, then he became an offensive midi. Now he's a two-way midi, and he's embraced all of those roles, does whatever coach wants, and does it incredibly well too. Finally, an offensive highlight for the Waterdogs in this one, and it's not even a goal or anything. It's just this slick little play by Jack Hanna where he gooses the ball between his legs. Hey, I'm trying, guys. I'm trying to mix in some Waterdogs highlights, but there just really aren't any. All right, I spoke too soon. Finally, a Waterdogs real highlight, a goal for them. Michael Sowers finally wakes up and inserts himself into this game. He does his typical 10, 20, 15-second dodge, but he does find some room eventually, driving up lefty from X, lays out for this one completely. He had to score this one. The Waterdogs needed something. Thank God he finally took the reins and went for it. Absurd stat for the Waterdogs. That is their first 1-point goal in the last 4 quarters. They have been on such an offensive drought. The only goal that they have had was a 2-pointer from their defender. Really need to see some offensive improvement from them if they want any hope of going in the playoffs. And they do get it somewhat. They get 2 in a row here, which is a big deal in this game. This time it's Jake Caraway. Let's see what he does. He finds himself in the middle of 3 guys. This is a pretty slick move. It's a little bit of a fake shot into a toe drag and puts it past Krebs. I mean, that seems like it's the only way the Waterdogs are going to be able to score in this one, which is just some great individual play. Good defense by the Whips. They all collapse on him, double team, triple team, almost quadruple team, but he gets a nice move and not too much on the shot, but it was enough to get it to go in the net. Look at this, 3 in a row for the Waterdogs. They actually are putting together a little bit of a run, trying to fight back. This time Zach Currier gets left wide open in front of the net. He kind of jumps through the crease a little bit. No one contesting him. That looked too easy. Maryland needs to be careful. Although they are up big time, this is the PLL. The 2-pointer exists. You've got the best players in the world. Things change quick in this league, so if they fall asleep and take their foot off the gas, the Waterdogs 100% can come back. And this is what I mean. The Whipsnakes again completely fall asleep on defense. They let the short stick D midi Scarpello score. That's how you know your defense just completely turned off in terms of their focus. I mean, that's 2 in a row from right in front of the net and 5 in a row overall for the Waterdogs. Maryland, be careful. You don't want to play with fire in this league. And to further my point, the Waterdogs completely flipped the script coming into the 4th. This time it's Zach Currier, the Swiss Army knife. Another strip strip on TJ Malone. This one's really sweet though. He does a one-handed over the head check. That's a short stick. That's one of the prettiest defensive plays in lacrosse, in my opinion. So many great defensive plays that you can make. When a shorty does it, it's even cooler. Currier runs this one down the field, passes it off to Scarpello. Scarpello finds, I'm not sure, is that Sowers? I can't really see. But once again, left completely wide open by the Whipsnakes defense. Another guy right on the crease. The Whipsnakes are begging for the comeback here. I'm not even going to say that this is completely like the Waterdogs being good on offense. The Whipsnakes defense just stopped playing after the second half of that third quarter. It's now 6-12, which is only 3 2-point goals away from the Waterdogs being back in this thing. Yes, I know, that's a stretch. Probably won't happen, but it's way closer than the, what, 10-0, 11-0 that we came into this half with. Sowers also woke up in the second half. He showed a little bit more initiative. He makes a really dope pass. So I think that's Jake Witcher, number 33 in the Waterdogs. I'll look that up. But as pretty as the pass was, that ball did not end up in the goal. And then that was really it. That was all the Waterdogs could muster to save their season. They came back a little bit, but the Whipsnakes at the end of the fourth quarter decided to turn it on, close out the game, see it out fully, and they walk away with the W on this one. That loss effectively ends the Waterdogs' entire season. They need to win out and have a lot of help from other teams as well to find themselves in a playoff spot. Insane to see that from a team who went to back-to-back championships the last 2 years. And they only get one win now this season. They haven't even really changed their roster. If anything, they got a little better from last year on paper. So strange, but that's the kind of thing that happens sometimes. The Whipsnakes look like they are finally getting back their old form at a perfect time in the season. Heading into the postseason, they get Tucker Dordevic back. They got their entire line of starters healthy and back in the game. They look like they are going to be pretty dominant and a problem in the playoffs. They absolutely are going to be my dark horse pick for the championship. They're super well-rounded and low-key a little scary. Krebs played amazing in goal for the Whipsnakes. He set 2 personal career highs in this game. We'll get into the specifics of that in just a minute. Some of the notable performances from this game include Zed Williams and Colin Heacock. Both of them had hat tricks. TJ Malone, no goals, and he got stripped like 3 times, but he still played a really good game. He had 4 assists, interestingly, no goals, but he was all about feeding today, which makes sense when your other players are hot. Sometimes you get to step back and just get in the rock. Joe Nardella, dominant as always. He got 66% win percentage on the faceoffs here. And like I just said, those records that Krebs set this game for himself, personal records, include a 75% save percentage and 19 saves. He was shutting down the Waterdogs today. On the other side of the field, I wish I could talk about more Waterdogs player, but across the board, they just did not play super well. Zach Currier filled up the stat sheet though. He had 2 goals, 1 caused turnover, and 3 ground balls, really doing all that he could for his team, but it just wasn't enough. And finally, on the defensive end, Ben Randell has 2 caused turnovers and 4 ground balls, but once again, just was not good enough. Their defense was playing pretty well. Only 12 goals, that's not bad at all. That's about league average, I think, but their offense just could not get it going. All right, everyone, that is all I have for this game today. Hopefully, some of the other games we get this week in the PLL are a bit more interesting than this one, a bit closer, a bit more competitive, but we also don't get many blowouts in the PLL, so it was kind of interesting to see this happen, as it is a little bit of a unique occurrence. Most games are pretty close. Feel bad for all the Waterdogs fans out there. I personally just am kind of sad that they're not going to be in the playoffs, because I do love watching them. They have a lot of exciting players, but that's how the cookie crumbles. Thank you guys very much for watching. If you liked the video, please drop a like. It helps me out a lot. If you didn't like the video, leave a comment. Let me know what I could do better, or recommend some other style of videos that I could do. We're posting a ton of content on Instagram and TikTok, as well as on YouTube, of course. So if you want to see every interesting play from the PLL, even the ones that TLN and the PLL account themselves won't post, hey, I find the cool little plays, like this one of Graham Bundy exposing himself for having an illegal stick. No one's posting that highlight besides me. If you miss the game, you're going to miss the funny things like that. So make sure to give me a follow on those platforms, subscribe on YouTube, and thank you guys very much for watching. Have a good day.